Hello live coders, this is Kenworthy, and I've taken out some time from the other things I'm doing today to make this video because I think it's a very important topic. I mean, it affects everything I'm doing. It may affect some of the things that you're doing. Okay, so very serious topic, and the timeline is kind of urgent. So I felt like, hey, I have to take out some time today, push other things aside, go ahead and get this video out because of some things that's going on. If I don't do this, I might miss an important opportunity here. So here we go. You can see on the web page here, LiveCode downloads. I may have scrolled down a little bit here. LiveCode downloads, and we've got LiveCode 901, and I've just downloaded RC3. And I had already been doing the test that I'm going to show you with RC2 and LiveCode 9.0. So it's about the same, but I just wanted to make sure I had the very latest version so that these tests are up to date. Now you're thinking, what tests? Okay. Now you may have remembered that last year I did something that I think I called a fight night, kind of a competition between LiveCode versions, almost like a boxing match or something. But so I'm kind of following that up. This one I'm going to call LC version Showdown. Okay, but the problem is I want to make sure that I start out emphasizing the seriousness of this topic. I've got a disaster image here because some people are more emotional thinkers and they look to judge something or to evaluate information. They're also looking a whole bunch at emotional context to see whether or not this is important to them. Well, it is, okay? Because this is about comparing different LiveCode versions. In this case, comparing version 6.7, which was the winner last time in the fight night, with the very latest LiveCode 9. The reason why this is important is because if you have some serious code in your scripts that is maybe crunching some data, performing some tasks, usually you want to optimize your code and make it run as fast as possible. And if you don't, you may get pretty bad results. That's not good for you. But in this case, I'm talking about the optimization of the engine itself, LiveCode itself, running underneath your code. So what I noticed, and what other people have noticed, is that going from LiveCode 6 to LiveCode 9, or other in-between versions, there is a slowdown in some of the processing. Now I'm not sure which exact areas, but I can say this. Whatever it is, it does affect things fairly generally. I'm sure there's something very specific causing the slowdown, but the real effects in the end are pretty general. There's different areas that are slowed down, and you'll see that in the tests that I've designed, and I'm going to share that with you, and they'll be linked. You can download them, try them out yourself. Okay, so it's a serious topic because optimization is very important to me, optimizing my own code. Lately I've been working on a WordLib update. WordLib is affected. Now the code in WordLib is pretty tight already. It's pretty well optimized. I'm going to optimize it some more. But the thing is, it's pretty tight, and from LiveCode 6 to LiveCode 9, WordLib imports of Word documents, that's a real world case here. It's not just some abstract test code. Real world case imports on LiveCode 9 take anywhere from 1.5 times to 8 times as long to import, depending on the type of content. And I think other people are seeing similar results, so I'm just going to jump into it, okay? But it affects kind of everything I'm doing, and it may affect some of the things you're doing. So that's why I think it's an urgent topic to get out there right now. Alright, we did the download already, and I'm going to show you my setup here. Okay, so I'm calling this the LC version Showdown. Last year I had the Fight Night. It was the same purpose, just to draw attention to, you know, optimizing the LiveCode engine, and of course what I'm always hoping for, I'm always hoping for the very latest version to beat down all the previous versions and totally win. So I'm always rooting for the latest version. Now last time in the Fight Night, LC 6.7 was the winner that time on most of the tests, so I'm calling it the Defender this time. In this corner we have the Defender, and on the other side here we've got LiveCode 901 RC3, the very latest today. I think it was released today, and I'm calling it the Challenger because this version did not compete in the Fight Night. It didn't exist yet, but LiveCode 6.7 defeated all the rest. Alright? Okay, and 6.7, by the way, pretty well optimized version. It also beat LiveCode 5.5, for example. So I consider 6.7 pretty good on speed. Alright, here we go. So I even added, you know, since I'm making a video, I added a few effects here. I've got an opening theme. Introducing, you know, the LC version Showdown 2018, and I should add part 1 because there's something going on there that I think I'm going to have a part 2. I hope so. So part 1 of the LC version Showdown. And in this corner we have the Defender, LiveCode 6.7, undefeated. And in the blue corner, LiveCode 901 RC3, the fresh Challenger. Okay, and we're going to do 3 tests, but some of them have more than one part, so there's actually going to be 5 total competitions, and whoever's the winner is going to get a point. So we're going to have 5 points total in the competition, and then one of these versions, LiveCode 6.7 or LiveCode 9, is going to be the winner of this round 1 of the LC version Showdown. Alright, and also I'm going to display the copyright here just because I use some sounds that are copyrighted, but they're allowed for use with attribution. So there's the attribution of the sounds, and also LiveCode's copyright, and my own. Okay, now the first test, I'm calling it root loops. Okay, kind of like Fruit Loops or something. This is root as in square root, and loops. We're going to perform a whole bunch of square roots and add them up. And if you want to see the code right quick, it looks like this. We've got a quantity of 1,234,567 loops that we're going to perform, and in each loop we're going to add the square root of that loop number to our total, and then we're going to print out the results. So you can test this on your computer. I'm using Windows 10. You can see how it works for you. And when you open the Showdown stack, you know, in LiveCode 6, it's going to automatically go over there to the it's backwards in the screen here, to the left side of the screen for you. And then LiveCode 9, when you open it, with the same Showdown stack, it's going to open on the right side of the screen for you automatically. Okay, the first test, we're running more than 1,000,000 square roots and adding them up. And I've added a little TikTok sound to give a little more emphasis on the time that's taking. Here we go. First test. Okay, so LiveCode 6.7, 134 milliseconds. And it has the sum so we can compare, make sure we're getting the same numbers. In LiveCode 9, I think I had already run this test. Let's run it again. Okay, LiveCode 9, we're getting 371 milliseconds. Okay, so as you can see, LiveCode 9 is considerably slower in this test, which is basically just repeat loops and math, than LiveCode 6.7. Let me just use a calculator right quick. If we have, oh, I need to move around my calculator. Let's see if I can do it again. My video's in the way. Oh well, who cares? 371. It's not quite 3 times, but it's like maybe 2.7, 2.5, 2.7 times as long that it's taking. Okay, and notice that's not any text, not any Unicode. That's just repeats and math. That's all there is in that competition. That's why I'm doing these tests this way, testing different areas of LiveCode. We're not just testing the same thing. So on this one, I'm going to give LiveCode 6.7 the point because he won by a lot. Okay, he's getting a point, and boom. This time, LiveCode 9 is the loser on this particular test. All right, let's go on to the next test. Okay, next test. This test is going to be appending from array. We're going to perform more than 200,000 array reads and text appends onto a string. So the code for this one, here you can see the number of loops that we're performing, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we've got a few options there, but the main thing we're doing is creating a list of items, and then we're going to make them into an array. We're actually splitting these 5 items into an array, and we're going through not going through the array, but going through that quantity of loops, which was, 345,000 loops. Each time through the loop, we're going to take, we're kind of alternating as we go. We're taking one of those array items and we're putting it after a string of text. We're building up a big string of text like that with these items, and the code has 2 options here. It can do it as array, or it can do it as comma separated text items. That way, we can have a better test. Okay, so first time, this general test is going to wind up with 2 points, 2 competitions. First, we're going to test arrays. All right, starting the test. Okay, LiveCode 6.7 performed more than 300,000 array reads and text appends, and I've got it spitting out, apple, carrot, egg, banana, dairy, just to show that things are in the right order as it builds the text string. It had 5 total array elements that it was reading from each time throughout the loop for 300,000 loops, and then building this string. and that took it 680 milliseconds. Alright, let's see how LiveCode 9 does on the same test. Okay, LiveCode 9, the same test, 345,000 array reads and text appends. We've got that same order of text: apple, carrot, egg, banana, dairy. You know, I know it's kind of silly, but that's just 5 words that we're taking, going through in the loop and inserting. Then 5 array elements, again the same. This time a second and a half, 1667 milliseconds. Okay, so this time I'm going to give the point to LiveCode 6.7, and wham! LiveCode 9 lost this point again. Okay, let me give the point here. And then, but this test has a couple other options. I'm going to right click so that we can use items, comma separated, instead of arrays. Let's see how that works. I'm going to try it on LiveCode 9 first. Okay, and I should have made the guy stand up again. Okay, so LiveCode 9, if we're using item reads, okay, now we've got the time down to 800 milliseconds. That's a little better. How about LiveCode 6.7 though? If we right click and use items, okay, once again LiveCode 6.7 is doing better here. We've got 182 milliseconds compared to 828. And I also would point out that back on the when we were using arrays instead of items, even though LiveCode, you know, currently processes comma separated items if there's a small number of items faster than it does arrays, the thing we see here is that LiveCode 6.7 still does the arrays faster than LiveCode 9 does the items. Okay, so I think there's no doubt that we give another point here to LiveCode 6.7. Definitely one. I wanted to show you something else though. The way I've got this stack coded, every time you perform a test, it actually copies some JavaScript, because thanks to my good friend Richard Gaskin, he suggested, you know, how about comparing LiveCode to JavaScript and some other language, but anyway, JavaScript for some of these performance tests. So, great idea, right? So, there's a web page called, it just lets you paste in some JavaScript on the left, which I've got copied to the keyboard every time we do a test. You just run the code and see the results on the right. So let's make sure we've got the same test, the same results. We're appending from array. So we're doing 345,000 array reads and text appends. Yep. 345,000 array reads and text appends. Apple, carrot, egg, banana, dairy. Apple, carrot, egg, banana, dairy. We've got the same results. 5 array elements and 700 milliseconds for LiveCode. 17 milliseconds for JavaScript to perform the same tests with arrays. Okay, let me give LiveCode, and this is 6.7. Let me give him one more chance. Okay, he got a little bit under 700, but you know, 700 milliseconds versus 17, that's a very, very big difference. Okay, very big difference. JavaScript is much faster in that test. Now, if we give, you know, LiveCode a bit of advantage and work with items, then we're comparing 180 to 17, but that's still a big difference. So JavaScript is the ultimate winner in this test. Wow. beating both versions of LiveCode on this test. And let's see how JavaScript does with the first test root loops. I forgot to show you the JavaScript for that one. Let's paste that one in. Okay, more than 1 million square root additions. Yes. The sum we come up with 914. It ends with 95, 914, 95, and then 631, etc. Yeah, it's the same sum. 143 milliseconds for LiveCode 6, 369 for LiveCode 9. Now this is just repeat loops with math, and then 9 milliseconds for JavaScript. So it's quite fast. Anyway, all right. So now we've been through 2 of the buttons, 3 of the competitions. Now the final test, I'm calling it text maxed. This code is going to build up a very large text string, just about as large as you can get. This time the quantity is 24, but that's, you know, what I was trying to do is actually de-emphasize the loops. You know, test something besides repeat loops. So we're only doing 24 loops here. The big job we're actually doing is each time through the loop, we're taking the starting text here and we're putting it after itself. We're basically doubling it, appending it to it, so it becomes exponential. It only takes 24 times to get up to the maximum amount of text that we can hold inside a text string on Windows anyway without having an error. And the reason I have another little character added each time is just to put a little variety into the text string. We're going to use it later, because after we build up this big text that's very big, then we're going to replace a little bit of text inside it and see how long that takes. All right, so we're doing a build and replace on very, very big text. Not many repeat loops, just testing, you know, the text itself. All right, so here we go. I guess I should play the theme song here. Get everybody reset and ready again for the competition. The final match, the final round. Okay, LiveCode 6.7 on text maxed. Took a while. Okay, LiveCode 6.7, 1474 milliseconds, about 1.5 seconds. And you know, with me recording video, it increases the time by maybe, oh, I don't know, 10% or a little more. So, but not too much. All right, that's LiveCode 6.7. How about the challenger, LiveCode 9, text maxed? Ooh, now here we have something that LiveCode 9 did better on. LiveCode 9, less than 1300 milliseconds. So 1.5 seconds and a half and 1.3 seconds. All right, how about that for LiveCode 9? Now that's an area where LiveCode 9 did a little better. I should point out on the replace. On the replace, okay? There's actually 2 times here. Now LiveCode 6 actually built the big text faster with those 24 repeats, you know, that were exponentially adding up the text. Then only 338 milliseconds compared to 360. So LiveCode 6.7 was actually faster on the first point. But on the replace part of it, we're replacing the text FAB with FZB inside this big text. Then LiveCode 9 won on that particular part of it. So I am going to give the point to LiveCode 9. And whack. LiveCode 6.7 is the loser on that particular test. Now remember though, a lot of times we have another version of the test. So if we right click, we can try case sensitive text. See if that makes any difference on the replacement part. So here we go. Okay, LiveCode 6.7, replacing in case sensitive mode, it's down to 720, a big improvement. LiveCode 9, case sensitive, okay, 1281 milliseconds, just a hair, a tiny bit faster, but not really different. The case sensitive and it's not really different for LiveCode 9. So on that one, once again, overall LiveCode 6 is able to perform this, particular job, replacing the text faster, and it has also built the text string in the beginning faster than LiveCode 9, so it deserves the point for that. Alright, so totally that gives us 4 points for LiveCode 6.7 and 1 point for LiveCode 9. Well, at least that's something that LiveCode 9 got. And then of course, let's take a look at the JavaScript for that one. Once you press these test buttons, the JavaScript's automatically copied to the clipboard already. All you gotta do is paste it in, press run. This one's going to give a couple of options for the JavaScript. Do you want it case insensitive? I'm just going to say yeah, okay. In a normal search string, I'll explain that later. Okay, so for text maxed, JavaScript is taking 88 milliseconds to build up the text string in the beginning. And you can see how many characters this string has. That's 1,000, million, 201 million characters of text. That's megabytes. Then let's make sure that's the same. Okay, and then we're replacing FAB. Well, first let's see. Now that took, to build the text string, that took LiveCode 6 341 milliseconds, and it took JavaScript 88 milliseconds. So JavaScript was faster. Then to replace FAB with FZB inside that text, LiveCode 9 took 1239 for case insensitive and insensitive, and JavaScript took 328 milliseconds. Alright, so JavaScript was still faster. Now, case sensitive, LiveCode 6 was down to 628, but you can see JavaScript is still twice as fast. Which actually, you notice, is not as fast as JavaScript was on some of the other things, and that's what kind of clued me in for this final test I'm going to show you, because that showed kind of a, that's a weakness of JavaScript. So let's go on and do that. So JavaScript kind of beat them, both of them, on that first part of the text maxed, but here's adding one more little wrinkle to the problem. I've got tooltips in these buttons. If you shift click, it's going to be a single character text for the search. So when we do our replace on 200 megabytes of text, we're replacing just a single character. And you can imagine how many replacements that results in. Just tons, right? So I'm going to hold down the shift key. Okay, so LiveCode 6 replaced A with Z among these 200 megabytes of text. All those replacements in 600 milliseconds. All right, holding shift again. LiveCode 9, took 557 milliseconds. It edged out LiveCode 6 again because we're not doing case sensitive. And then let's see what JavaScript does. JavaScript, I'm going to run the code again. Case insensitive, yeah, although I don't think it matters in this particular case actually. Normal search string, I'm going to say cancel. I just coded it this way. That means we're going to use the single character search text. Okay, you see some time going by. This time it took JavaScript some serious time to do this test. It took the same 88 milliseconds to build the text, but to perform the replacement, it took JavaScript, by the way, running on Firefox, on Windows, and as you can see, with a bunch of other tabs open. You know, I'm not trying to give JavaScript any advantage here. It took more than 2.5 seconds to perform this particular replacement. Notice we got the exact same result, by the way. That's finding a particular text after the replacement, just to test that we got everything right. So it's doing the exact same thing, all this code on JavaScript and LiveCode. Okay, so what did we have? 2.5 seconds compared to LiveCode, you know, 0.6 seconds and 5.57 seconds, 0.557 seconds. So in this case, LiveCode had the advantage. Why? Well, really I think that's because of the Achilles heel of JavaScript. In this case, the way JavaScript handles text strings, it does not allow the programmer to directly access the text and say, okay, I'm going to swap out character 1,500,000, etc., a particular character, and just swap it out. Instead, JavaScript always creates a new string, you know, with whatever you're doing to it. So in this case, you know, JavaScript is still faster searching for a normal text like 3 characters long, 5 characters long, whatever, even 2 characters long. But in this case, when we got down to a single character, replacing A with Z, and we're performing so many millions of replacements, then JavaScript's Achilles heel of not allowing direct access into the text, you know, proved to be its downfall, because the fastest method in this case was to split and then join again, but that was just incredibly inefficient method to solve this problem with so many replacements. So that's kind of the dumb point for JavaScript. They should allow direct access. Anyway, so for LiveCode, that gave LiveCode 1 victory over JavaScript, but overall 4 losses. So, and we had the same situation between LiveCode 6.7, 4 points, and LiveCode 9, only 1 point. So mostly losses to LiveCode 6. Alright, so to sum it up, that is the problem that I consider urgent and serious, is that it's affecting everything I'm doing, every project for clients, for my own add-ons, for WordLib, and other things that people use. You know, I'm trying to give you the very best product. I like it to be fast. I take special care in my code to make sure it is the best code and the fastest it can be. But the LiveCode engine underneath it has to also, I would love it to get even faster, but at least not get too much slower. Between LiveCode 6 and LiveCode 9, we don't want to see a big slowdown. You know, like in WordLib, real world examples, not just tests like these, real world examples And wordlib does not just use one thing. Wordlib uses text append. It uses some arrays, but it's not array heavy. It uses some items, okay, and chunks. It of course uses some repeats. It uses a lot of stuff, all right? A variety. It's a real example. Use a variety. And the text imports are much slower. And I don't like passing that on to people. But when the engine is going a lot slower, it's hard to overcome that. It's hard to overcome that. Okay, I'm going to make my code like 5 times faster, 10 times faster. Hard to do. More like 5 times faster for some types of content and 2.5 times slower for others. So we've got kind of a real world slowdown for wordlib of between 2.5 times to 5 or 6 times slower for LiveCode 9. All right, and you know, if you have a serious app with LiveCode, I'm sure you have noticed or will notice too. If you have some serious processing going on in LiveCode script, you may see a similar effect. Your code may be at least twice as slow. All right, I hope not, but it might be. Okay, now the good news and the thing that's going on that I consider urgent, that I wanted to go ahead and make this video today, is the LiveCode team is actually working on one area of optimization for LiveCode 9. Let me see if I can show you that. I've got a tab open for it. This here, some improvements to array access. And I think that's great. And there were some test results posted from Mark at LiveCode that, you know, look great. It looked like back to where LiveCode 6 was, or maybe even a little better. If so, that's awesome. But I just wanted to get this out here and actually hopefully get some code to test into their hands also at LiveCode to make sure that these improvements do cover all the areas that need to be covered. Because you can see in these tests that I designed, okay, root loops, that one was for just repeats with math. That's it, just repeats with math. And that was 2.5, you know, not quite 3 times slower. No text involved. Okay, then we had append from array. Now that involved text, and it also involved arrays or items, you know, according to which test we used. So in that case, it was about 2.5 times as slow, let's say, for LiveCode 9. And see, that's a different area. We got repeats, appending text, and arrays. And then with text maxed, that one is building a gigantic text string, but even though it has repeats, it has very few repeats, only 24. That's on purpose. That's to minimize repeats and focus on another area, which was just appending text, raw. Okay, so for that, what were the results again? Okay, the results were just a shade slower for building, but it was actually faster for the replace if it was case insensitive, and for case sensitive, about twice as slow. So that's how it all balances out. So you can see I designed these tests even though there's only 3 buttons, but these are testing totally different areas of LiveCode, you know, even finding one area where LiveCode's a little bit in advance, but pointing out at least, you know, 4 different tests, well, at least several different areas: math and just repeats, text appends, array reads, and comma separated item, I guess you could call it, reads, plus let's see, that was more text appends and searching. So at least 5 areas where LiveCode 9 is significantly slower, right? So having 5 different areas that are slower, you know, I have no idea. It would be up to the team, but I just think that represents something that's having a general effect on 5 different areas. It's a pretty general effect. Probably something specific. Maybe it's memory related. Who knows? Whatever it is, it's impacting more than one area. That's what I wanted to emphasize here. More than one area is impacted. So when we get away from the test code and go to the real world cases, in real world cases, general cases, I think people will be seeing a slowdown because there's many areas affected. Okay? Alright, so that wraps up the LC version Showdown 2018 Part 1. Because as you see, once LiveCode does some improvements to the array access, which result in optimization, I'm really hoping that changes this and I can make a Part 2, and I'm hoping that LiveCode 9 will beat down LiveCode 6 and become the new champion, right? So thanks for watching. Now I'm going to file a QA enhancement report on this. There's already been some enhancements reports on specific areas of LiveCode 9 for performance. So if it ends up getting merged or something, or you know, a duplicate, whatever, okay. But anyway, and I'm also going to try to get the test code into Mark's hands in case it either is impacted by the changes he's already making, or maybe some other areas to look at the same time. And of course, this test stack is going to be available for download in the bug report, so you can download it too, see how it works on your computer. And I hope very soon we'll see this ended up 4-1 in favor of LiveCode 6.7. Still the reigning champion here, but I hope very soon we'll have a version of LiveCode 9 or 10 that pounds down LiveCode 6 and claims the title. So thanks for watching. Okay, and one more thing I wanted to say, and I had to move my video down a little bit so that I'd be able to show the URLs. I forgot to say, you know, you may be wondering, who is this guy? What is LiveCode? What's going on here? What's the deal? So I was just going to show you. LiveCode is a computer programming language and IDE that you can easily design applications for desktop, Windows, Mac, also Android and iOS mobile devices, and even for the web. So it's a really powerful and convenient programming language that I highly recommend. It's at livecode.com. I'm an expert at using LiveCode. I'm not a member of the LiveCode company or team. I'm an independent consultant. That's what I do best. I help people with all aspects of their code and their projects and their apps. But this is livecode.com, the official company webpage. That's where you can download LiveCode. You can, you know, get a subscription, all that kind of good stuff. Get LiveCode, try it out. And I was going to also point out the web page where I've currently got WordLib. I've got it at livecodeaddons.com, and I consider it a good test case for what we're talking about, the speed results for LiveCode 6 and LiveCode 9. Because anytime you've got a speed comparison, if you have some test code, it's kind of abstract, it's kind of academic, because your code is just running some loops and doing some math or some text, which is good, but it's not a real world example. Well, in this case, you saw that my code covered several areas, so it wasn't too limited, but also WordLib here is a real world case, where I will post some of the import times that I had between LiveCode 6 and LiveCode 9. Real world results here for WordLib, and WordLib is available to download and can be tested. So I'm going to link it as a suggested real world example for the feature enhancement requests that I'm going to post. So that's WordLib, and I'll be updating WordLib soon. Then, who am I? I am Kenworthy, LiveCode consultant, and I've been doing it for a long time. This is my website, livecodeconsulting.com, and I'm here to help people with all their LiveCode needs, problems, successes, everything. I like to make your code better, your code faster, your application more outstanding. I do consulting, training, I do app development, code development, whatever it is. If it's LiveCode, I'm doing it. So I do it all the time. I've done it for a very long time, so there I am. And if you're wondering what's JavaScript, hey, wake up now. JavaScript is one of the most popular, maybe the most popular computer language in the world. It's running in your web browser. So if you're watching this video, I bet you there's some JavaScript on the web page somewhere. Alright? And this little website I was using, js.do, just a handy place to run some JavaScript. You can actually put JavaScript into any page. You can make a little page by yourself to run some JavaScript. But this one's just handy, paste it on the left, run it on the right. Anyway, but this JavaScript was running on Firefox on Windows. You could have different results on different browsers and platforms, just as I had LiveCode itself running on Windows this time. You might get a little bit different results on Mac, but I don't think you're going to get greatly different results. I don't know. Let me know if you do. So thank you, and signing off. I'm going to get back to work. So wrapping up this video, thanks for watching.